First off, I want to thank you all for being here for the Rotary Tech Resources presentation of the Festival of Learning. My name is Rob Saxe, past president of the Roseville Rotary Club, and my tech support guy, as it shows here on the screen, is Paul Schubert. Paul, thank you for helping me out so much. To avoid feedback, we'd like for you guys to mute yourself so that we don't have any issues. I think Paul could probably mute everybody, but if we just do that ourselves, that'd be great. To avoid any dogs barking or babies crying or anything like that. And then also, we're going to be, like with all the other presentations, utilizing the chat for all questions. We're going to stop intermittently between subjects, and then you can ask your question then, and we can answer the questions before we move on to the next one, so we don't lose any of the any questions, and we can cover what everyone would like to know about. If I can answer the question, I mean that's a that's the caveat. The presentation goal today is to acquaint you with some of the resources that are available through many different sources to help you get your questions answered. When I was president, when I became president or in the leadership chain of the Roseville Club, I was a neophyte, a Rotary neophyte. I really didn't know that much. I found out. I thought I did, but I didn't know that much about Rotary. And so I got a lot of help from the past presidents and the past district governors of my club, who were only too happy to provide some of these resources to me to help me kind of educate myself, and they also helped educate me on all things Rotary. The main thing that I used during my term was a Rotary International, and I'm not sure if it's called Member Services, but it seems like it should be. If it's not, Jack Arney gave me this number very early in my Rotary leadership stint, and it helped me so much. They're so helpful there. And if you have any question at all ever, just call Rotary International. They have a team dedicated to answering whatever question that you might have. I actually called them today, in fact, to kind of get some details on how to locate a report that I was looking for in Rotary Club Central, which was just, I mean, it's just a fantastic resource. So I don't think you can do much better than going straight to the horse's mouth, so to speak. So I'm speaking in terms of my experience as a club president and getting myself Rotary-cated versus, Rotary educated. And it hopefully you'll get something out of this. And if not, you can always give me a call later. We can talk about it and work it out. So this is the Rotary.org site. When you first go to this site, this is the page that you'll see. And the first thing you want to do is you click For Members. And when you click For Members, it'll send you to myrotary.org, which is a bit of a different site and handles, once you've signed in, it covers all kinds of different information that you can have. This For Members drop down, as I've taken some screenshots here and posted them. In the My Rotary side, you'll see, club snapshot, your Rotary profile, where you'll find your contact information. Updating that contact information is fantastic. I think that all clubs have asked their members to update their contact information so that we have it, and so that Rotary International also has it. You'll also find your Rotary resume, and then some of your personal and professional experience and information. And depending upon the level that you're at, if you're in leadership, if you're a president-elect or you're in district leadership, you also have access to additional information. When I was a president, I was able to see the records on all of the members and where they were with Paul Harris points, their donations to the Rotary Foundation, and just all sorts of information, and actually able to see their Rotary resume as well. So that helped me a lot when I was trying to get to know my members better and finding resources within my club to be able to lean on when I had questions. The next drop-down menu item was the club and district administration. And again, depending upon the level of access that you have, will determine exactly what you'll be able to see. So if you've already been entered into the system as an officer, you should have access to pretty much all of the club records that Rotary International has. And so under this tab, you're going to find reports on donors, club account status, awards, district reports on clubs, district trends, even trends in your own club, gender demographic trends, and there's just more information there than you can shake a stick at, and it's just absolutely a great place to be. Now, what I found out during my term was that I needed to enter in my goals per my district governor, Sandy Sava at the time. I need to enter in my goals in order to qualify for the points in my awards packet, same with the president's-elect this year. But I couldn't get access to any of that information or have the ability to do that. And then I found out that actually it's the current club president, current club secretary that actually need to give you access to that. So there's a section in Rotary Club Central where you're able to add your personnel for the incoming term straight in there, so that they're able to access goals for their term and enter in their goals. And incidentally, if you're a president-elect or a club secretary for the upcoming term, you need to get with your current club and president, club secretary and club president, and get them to enter in that information so that you can get your goals in to Rotary Club Central by April 30th. It's pretty much the same every single year. So it's something that you want to take care of if you haven't done so already. Rotary Club Central is the club dashboard. Reports are generated in graph format with historical information. And this is where your club goals can be entered and goals of past presidents can be found. Entering in your goals is one of the most important things that you can do, because without goals, you can't achieve the goals that you haven't entered. So you may want to enter in those goals, and specifically the membership foundation and Polio Plus giving goals are the most important goals to have in by April 30th. Now, I used during my term these goal charts as like benchmarks, where per every quarter I would look at my goals and see where I was, and then be able to make adjustments in my approach to see if I could reach those goals. Now, did I reach all my goals? No, but at least I had a way to quantify and then measure whether or not I was reaching those goals, which I think is really very important. Let's see, next. Oh, and again, I went through the reports this morning, thanks to Rotary Club Central, and we found that there are 27 clubs in our district who have not entered any goals in, and there are 10 other clubs, only 4 of which have entered in the most important goals. So if you're a PE or a club secretary for the upcoming term, really need, and I don't mean to nag, not nagging, but we really need to get those goals into Rotary Club Central as soon as possible. So I'm not nagging, no nagging. Are there any questions on that so far? Paul, do we have any questions?
We have no questions so far.
Okay, sounds great. So we'll move on to the next one. This site really surprised me. I honestly did not look at the zone2627.org site until it may have been actually after my term, but there are some fantastic resources on this site. I mean, there are just a lot of great resources here. But before I cover that, I do have one other thing to share with you. Let's go over here. Sorry for getting this out of order. The Rotary Learning Center. This is the Rotary Learning Center menu page. And as you can see, you'll find this under, once you're signed in to My Rotary Learning Center, once you're signed in to My Rotary Learning and Reference, is one of the main menu items on the menu bar. And you'll find the Learning Center underneath that. Now, these are all videos and then also some written PDF materials that you'll get for virtually anything that you have an interest in Rotary. This is, again, another fantastic resources. And they come in, geez, I think I've seen 7 or 8 at least different languages that they provided this in. Rotary being international, that's necessary. So sorry to backtrack on that, but we'll go right back into this. So on the zone2627.org website, we've got tech resources here. And the tech resources, they also have a virtual library. And a lot of the information there is really pertinent to what we're going through right now, in that you'll see information on hybrid meetings, Rotary Zoom backgrounds, basic streaming setups, and it's really helpful to get a handle on this, considering we've been in a pandemic now for the last year, more than a year, and it's really altered how we are going to be able to meet and organize going forward. I know that I've been on Zoom. We've been running committee meetings for the Festival of Learning for the last year solely on Zoom. Every meeting has been in Zoom. We've not met in person, I think, one time to discuss anything that was Festival of Learning related. So I think that going forward, especially with some of our members having a higher degree of concern than others regarding their health and the COVID-19 pandemic, we may just be in this for a lot longer than we had planned for. So having information on hybrid meetings, Zoom meetings, and how to conduct those in a way that helps your membership is a great resource, and you can find that right on the zone2627.org website. This section under Club and District Resources, and as you can see from the slide, you've got membership resources, starting a new club, membership blog. I mean, I don't mean to read it to you, but you can clearly see that we're not lacking for any information on this site at all. And then also, if you're in club leadership and you have a position and you're not quite sure, what that position entails, there's information on all of that. And the next slide is even more amazing, in that the zone has regional resource teams, which I didn't even know this prior to creating this presentation. But they've got a Rotary coordinator team, a public image coordinator, and entire teams of people. I had a question not long ago, and I had asked Desiree Wilson a question, and she wasn't sure what that information would be or where to find it. And she gave me a name and number of a guy at the zone who I called, Steve Langenbrink, I believe his name was. And I called him, and called me back, left a message, called me back immediately, and was able to answer my questions and direct me to resources that provided documentation on exactly how to do this, a hybrid meeting, the costs involved, what's the best way to do it. And, it was just a fantastic call. And we had email exchanges back and forth several times, and he's really very helpful. So it's a outstanding. I was very, very pleased and surprised at how great a resource this really is. Paul, were there any questions about the last section?
No questions. I would like to throw out, though, I've never seen this site before, so I really appreciate the opportunity to be listening on this. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was truly surprised by just how amazing this site is. It's so well put together that I'm a little disappointed that I hadn't seen it before. But it's just a fantastic website with a lot of resources that answers the questions of not only a president-elect, but everyone all the way up to probably district governors and maybe even zone directors. And I think each zone probably has a site that's very similar to this, but I'll tell you, this is a site we don't want to overlook in our search for resources. We just want to.
Hey, Rob.
Yes.
There was one comment in the chat about asking if you could share the info about the hybrid meetings.
Sure. It's a document that I've got. I think I've stored it in my files. And if you leave your contact information in the chat, I'll be happy to send you that information out. On the hybrid meetings, that information was great because it addressed initially our concern. We were going to put together a presentation on hybrid meetings, but we were initially concerned the out-of-pocket expense would be not in the reach of a smaller club with a smaller budget. But the documentation showed at varying budget levels exactly what you need to do to get the job done. So it's a great resource. So if you leave your contact information in the chat, I'd be happy to get that out to you. And thank you for asking. It's a real good resource. Okay, so that brings us to the Rotary District 5180 website, which is also a real good website and is even more applicable to what we do here locally. And if you look at the For Rotarians tab, you see just even more detailed information, a speakers bureau. During my term, we had the speaker committee. Sometimes we would have discussions about who we wanted to come and talk, and the speakers bureau had an entire list of people that were that had spoken at other clubs. And I believe, if I remember correctly, there's some information about how that how that went, or if it was someone that we wanted to try to continue to promote. And that was an outstanding resource. Club service and community service is something that you're not seeing a whole lot, at least obviously, on the other two sites. So this is information that's real local to us and is great to have. Membership chair resources, obviously, that's all over the place. District documents, I'm sure that has a lot to do with any grants or any documents that the district handles directly. That comes from the clubs. And then the District Hall of Fame, which is something new. I believe that came about during past District Governor Glenn Fong's term, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken on that.
You're correct.
Oh, thank you. I always try to brag about Glenn when I can. He's a member of our club. So this is a great, also a great resource for us locally. And I think, in my opinion, this would probably be the first place I'd stop with regard to things within our district, anything that we've got going on within our district. And the reason being is that we've got a great calendar of events that's put together with committee meetings and what's the local happenings in our district. And it's just a really, really great site to go see. And then it also has a training tab as well as youth services information, which again, you see some of that in the, I think, Rotary.org site. You don't see too much of that in the Zone 26, 27 site. So this, if you have questions on youth service, or if you have questions on what's going on within our district, and then more specific questions with community service, I think that this is the site to go to, and the site that I used when and referred my board members to when I was president during my term. So are there any questions at all?
There is no questions regarding this section, no.
Okay, cool.
All right, a lot of interest in the hybrid meeting, so I'm going to be typing those down.
All right.
Yeah.
So the main thing to understand about being in club leadership or being a Rotarian and looking for more information is to understand that resources are every place. And just because you don't know the answer to a question doesn't mean you can't find it, especially within your own club. I I've gotten help from Rotarians when I went to the international convention in Atlanta. I mean, there were people there everywhere, you know, that could potentially be a resource with a lot more experience than I had in Rotary at the time. So Rotary wide, there are resources everywhere to help you. For me, the biggest resource that I used while I was during my term and in leadership was from the past presidents and past district governors of my club. And they were, I don't think that there was a week that went by in the 52 weeks that I was president of my club where I didn't send out an email to the past presidents I felt were still engaged and still interested in helping, because, you know, sometimes they aren't. And I got a lot of great information from them. I was able to, you know, have an effective term as president as a result of being able to lean on my past presidents and past district governors. So I would encourage anybody, whether you're in the Rotary leadership or not, to utilize your past presidents as an information resource. And there's one thing that Rotarians always seem to respond to, and that is a plea for help. You know, if you ask any Rotarian for help, they're usually there for you specifically. So that has been my experience. And in keeping with that, if you have questions or you have something you don't understand or you need a resource for that, my contact information is right here. You can give me a call anytime, send me an email anytime, and I respond very quickly to most emails. I work from home, so I'm more than happy to provide any information that I can provide on any resources or answer any question that that you have. So with that, that's the end of the presentation. If anybody has any questions, I'm open. We have more time left.
Hey, Rob, this is Desiree. Can you talk about the Learning Center a little bit on
Sure.
myrotary.org? I think that's coming into play more and more as we move forward, and it's what Rotary's pushing towards. So it's helpful to understand that and be able to navigate that.
Sure.
That's also not the easiest site to navigate.
So this is the actual live site on Rotary.org. So let's get there. Let me show you how to get there. Doesn't like to go back. Okay. So as I said, when you go to the RA site, you go to Rotary.org, and as soon as you click on that For Members tab, For Members, this is a menu bar here if you aren't familiar, and it sends you directly into My Rotary. Okay, so under Learning and Reference, you go right into the Learning Center. So that'll drop down right into the Learning Center, and these are also submenus. Up here, you can learn by role for whatever new member, club roles, trainers. I mean, everything's there. And this is there's a lot of redundancy between Rotary.org and the Zone 2627 site. The district website's a little bit unique because there's some things that you don't really that are emphasized there that you don't see emphasized in the other two sites, at least obviously emphasized. You can learn by topic, fundraising projects, start a club, about Rotary, policy procedures, which was a very helpful manual for me. And then there's the Learning Center. We just click on that. And it will help, and we'll get there.
This is the frustrating part of their site. It does take a little while sometimes.
Yeah, their site can be a little bit on the slow side, but that's okay. So you've got, it's very similar to the drop-down menu that you saw earlier, where you've got About Rotary, General, Public Images. Just click on the Scope Club Leadership. So these are all learning plans, club administration basics, club administration committee basics, club president basics, you know, club public image basics. So there's a lot of, these are, I believe these are videos, if I remember correctly. And these are courses that you can enroll in.
So some are videos and some are PowerPoints.
Some are
and you
PowerPoints,
go
right.
through them at your own leisure.
And then also there are also PDFs that you can find as well. When I was looking for information on actually being an assistant district governor, I just typed into my Google search bar, Rotary Assistant District Governor, and the manual came up. So I was able to download that. And then I did the same thing with Rotary policies and procedures. And so that manual came up. Making sure you find the one that's properly dated or most applicable for the date that you're in is important. So all of this information is readily available by topic in Rotary, in the Rotary Learning Center. There's more information and content here than you can cover in a lifetime.
You know, Rob, if I may, there's a difference. They have two things in the Learning Center. One is a learning plan, and then there's the courses. So a plan is an overarching. So pick one, Rob, there, up there. Yeah, District Rotary Foundation Committee. And when you go back, if you go back to that previous page, it shows you that it is a learning plan, but there's 5 courses in there. And you'll take each of the courses, but they're only like 15, 20 minutes long. And I've gone through so many of them. Sometimes they're a lot faster than that. It's just your how much time you want to spend looking at what they're presenting, but they're really handy and they're not long and cumbersome.
And an outstanding resource for anything, any question that you could have, or anything that you'd like to learn about with regard to a committee position, a leadership position, or just Rotary in general. Now, here's a topic that not a lot of people know much about, including myself: Rotary Peace Fellowships.
And we have a Festival of Learning session on that next week.
And yes, we do.
It just so happens. Next Wednesday night at 5:30. Put in a plug for that.
Absolutely. Okay. Did you want to cover anything more on that, Desiree?
The only thing I'll say is that we are right in the midst of, or heading towards the finish line on the April 30th deadline for clubs to submit applications for district grants for next year. And to be able to be qualified, you have, the president-elect and the person who is going to manage the district grant must be grant management certified. And we have moved to using the Learning Center, what you're looking at right now, for the grant management training. So if you're one of those people in your club that needs to get certified, you need to go here and take the training.
Where would that be?
It's, I would search for it, grant management training, I think it's called. And it's important that you go through here, and we're down to 9 days left. So I just want to say that if your club, right now, we don't have one, we have 6 clubs that are certified. If no more get certified, then those six are going to get to share in the $90,000 we have available next year for district grants. So you might want to check to see if your president-elect and somebody else in your club has been certified, that you've done an MOU, and that you have submitted an application. So.
Is this the?
Well, you had the grant management seminar up. What happened to that one? That's what it is.
It's very slow in loading. I went back.
Okay. So I think you're right. It's grant management seminar. And it's got 9 courses and they're like 15 minutes. And the last one is, I think, maybe 45, only because there's a test in there. And the weird thing, this is really odd, you know, Rob showed you that you could enroll. Several of us get a report every Monday morning of who has been in the Learning Center, who has completed the course, who is enrolled, and what percentage, if you haven't finished it, what percentage you've completed. For the grant management seminar, they don't consider that you've completed it until you've actually printed your diploma. And at the end of every one of these sessions, you can print a diploma. So you will not show up on the report as considered to have completed that course unless you actually print the diploma, which is weird, but that's how it's set up.
Yeah, it's not loading for some reason. There's a server error, so I'm not exactly sure if we're in the right spot or not on that.
That's fine. It's grant management seminar.
Grant management seminar.
See right there, go down. It's coming up when you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, that's the PDF. No, that's that top one. There you go. So when you enroll, see, this is a learning plan and there's, I think, 9 different classes. So if you enrolled, if you click on that enroll button, Rob, it should take you to the list of all the classes. So view my courses. And there they are. And then you click on each one and you can see they're 15 minutes.
Yeah, they're each one is 15.
Desiree, this is Paul.
Well,
you said
there's one
the
here is
application
45.
for the
I'm sorry,
district
go ahead,
grant is due
Paul.
by
April
the district
30th.
grant is due April 30th. Okay.
The application, and to submit an application, you must be certified and you must have a memorandum of understanding signed and submitted, all due by April 30th. And we're not seeing the clubs. We only, as I said, we only have 6 clubs that are currently certified. No one has submitted an application yet. And that was as of 5 o'clock tonight.
All of next year's applications also have to be in by April 30th?
No, not also. That's all I'm talking about is applications for district grants for next year. Yeah. Was there something else, Dean, that you thought I was maybe referring to?
No, I was just concerned. I was just asking whether the application for the grant, any grant given next year, has to be in by April 30th.
Correct. And because we want to see as many clubs be able to participate as possible, I'll be sending out an email to all the presidents-elect tonight to that effect, so that we get folks, they still have time to take these classes, they still have time to get certified, do the MOU and get that application in. So it's leaving money on the table if clubs aren't participating in this. It helps leverage the money in your club to do good in the world, to do good in our community.
Steve has a question.
It's not a question, it's a comment. Since I'm on the district committee, I will tell you, Desiree, that there is some confusion. There are grant applications coming through the old system on whatever it is, Club Runner that we're using. And I haven't seen any, nor I think Dave has seen any on the new system, the new applications. So,
and I just talked to Paul Friedrich and he hasn't seen any.
So I would say I've seen at least 4 or 5.
Okay, cool. How do we'll talk offline. I need to know how we get those out of there.
I don't know how to get them out, but I forwarded them to Dave.
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
That's good to hear. Thank you, Steve.
you're welcome.
Okay, it looks like Richard has his hand up for a question.
Yeah, Rob, just a question. How do you get to the Zone 2627 website?
So it's zone2627.org. There's no hyphen or slash in between the two. It's like zone 2600 and 27.org.
Can you enter that, Rob, since you're right in your
Sure.
browser there?
I don't have my zone.
There you go.
I love this website. I just think this is a great website. You got online meetings, tech resources, videos, all kinds of different videos. You use it right on your phone, virtual library. I mean, it's just fantastic. And then the membership resources that you've got, public image, our foundation education, governor's education and training program, which is, you know, not club, but it's just, there's just a lot of stuff here. Zone Institute, the Rotary International links. It's very straightforward, very easy to navigate. And I think that's, you know, the Rotary International, Rotary.org site can be a little bit difficult to navigate sometimes. But I really think that this website makes it a lot easier to find some things. Not everything, but some things that you'll find very useful. Going through the board minutes of a Rotary International board meeting is fascinating. I've been through a couple of those, and they're just fascinating to read. If you're really, really into Rotary. So, are there any additional questions?
Yeah, Rob, do you want to say anything about the box site?
I'm sorry, about the box site?
Yeah, where you can store box.com, you can store you know, your constitution and minutes and things like that.
Oh, you know, I didn't see that as being a you know, a resource to get questions answered. However, and I'm actually not very familiar with that, so I really can't speak to it, unfortunately.
I can.
Does someone want to cover that? Is there where do we go for that?
Okay, so it's the address, it's a website address, box.com. And Dick is right, it's a storage like Dropbox, but it's a district storage, and there's actually two sides to it, one for the district and one for the clubs. So when you go into the Club 5180 folder, Rob, can you click on that Club 5180 folder? Go, no, in the recent files, go down. No, recent files, you were, okay. I wish I could show you with my cursor. Go, keep going straight down, straight down, straight down, straight down, right there. Click on that. And every club has their own folder that you can upload documents into. I don't, as you can see, there's a lot of zero files. A lot of clubs aren't using it. And I think the idea was if you wanted to see what a club was doing on a certain fundraiser, you could go into their club file. They are not protected by clubs. So if you put some sensitive documents into your club folder there, any other club can see it. So it's more,
Yep.
It was more about sharing information about events, etc.
I have a question. If we were to upload, let's say there's Roseville's bylaws or the Constitution, would that not be valuable? Should our club hold or, for future, or is that sort of?
You mean as a document storage usage? Yeah, that's a handy place to do it. You just have to know that all of those files are visible to anybody else in any.
You know what's funny is the dates on these files having been entered is actually the date of my term. So I'd forgotten all about this entirely.
And you got right into it because you're logged on to the district account?
No, because I have a password. Again, it's not something I've used in 4 years. So I'd completely forgotten about it. Our club moved to another platform.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, our club moved to another platform. So yeah, yeah, this is me. I uploaded all this information for my club.
Desiree, do you have the login information on that?
I am getting ready to type it into the chat box right now.
Okay.
Yep, I will do that, Dick. Club
Hey,
50.
Rob.
Yes.
First of all, I'm learning an awful lot here just from all the discussion. But I have a general question, which has concerned me over the years, and that is a history. And my question is, are clubs, districts required to develop a summary of their year's activities and accomplishments? So if I want to go back to your year, 2017-18,
Mm-hmm.
is there a record somewhere in our filing system where I would find out, what your organization was, what your accomplishments were that year, and so forth?
Some clubs, our clubs.
History is being lost. I try to go back in our club alone to find out what happened 20 years ago or whatever, and unless that president is alive, there's no history of it.
Yeah.
So my question is, are we required to do that, or are we doing that and I just don't know about it?
To my knowledge, there's no requirement we had a club historian for quite a while that developed a book, and I think I've got it right here on my desk someplace. And we have historical records back from the time that our club first started up until I think about 2003 or 4. But then after that, there aren't any. The only records that we would have would be in the board meeting minutes of each month. So that would be about the only way I think that we could go back and determine who did what, and all those. We do have all those records, so we'd have to go back and kind of reconstruct it and read the board meeting minutes in order to know to fill out the historical documentation going forward from the time that it stopped in a publication form to current day. So I don't know that there's any requirement at Rotary International for us to keep those records, other than one of my big learning curves when I was president was being able to distinguish between corporations. We have 2 corporations, a 501c3 and a 501c4, I believe. Anyway, 2 corporations that are slightly different, and understanding the importance of being able to keep those records from a legal perspective was a big learning curve during my term, as I had never dealt with corporations before. So while I don't think that there is a requirement from Rotary International to keep historical records on what happened during a certain president's term, I do really think that that's a fantastic idea, and those records, it'd be great if they were preserved. And this isn't the first time I've heard that. I've had other members approach me about that in the past. So
I think it falls under best practices. It isn't a requirement that I know of, and Steve Lemon maybe could weigh in if he knows something different. But in your club runner, on the admin side of your club runner, not the front-facing website, but your administrative side, you can store documents there. And we, in my club, Point West Rotary, we put all of our board minutes in there in a members-only area, so that not anybody outside of the club can see them, but everybody in the club has access to them. And so we store documents there, but it really is a best practices, Ralph, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you. That's why I asked that question about Fox storing it, because we had a secretary who left, and she's got all the history. And I asked her, I don't know how many times, for a jump drive with all of those documents on it, and we still don't have them. And when you have a club that's older and has past history, like you're saying, Rob, keeping it in one place is very, very important for the moving forward in the organization. So Maybe we'll do a training on that, just on that, at some point in time.
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
preserving club history is, I think, very important.
Yep.
In our new member program, we had every new member that came into the club used to be required to take notes on each meeting until they became a member. And then those notes were then compiled into, one narrative for each meeting. And they were able to preserve some history. I think that's how we have the history that we do have from 1938 all to the 2002-3 term, I believe.
Okay.
Cool.
So,
So are there any other questions?
There's nothing else in chat. I don't see anybody's hands up.
Okay, well, with that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining our session this evening.